Game Basics, episode number 30. I'm Patrick.
And I'm Robert.
Each episode we'll try and talk about a board game and a card game. Hosting for this episode is provided by Gameology, Australia's largest gaming warehouse.
Thank you very much.
So today
hold on, we've got an order coming from them.
Well, yeah. So today we're talking about Pandemic Iberia, Trains Rising Sun, and another Top Trumps game that we got.
Oh, you want to talk about that too, do you? Okay.
Haven't we got 3, I think, now?
Yeah, probably a few of those.
Because I've got 2, Mika's got 1.
So did you know what games It's probably our last order of games that we're getting from for a while because we need to save some money to pay for
Arkham
a holiday.
Horror?
A couple of Arkham Horror little mythos
I
sets.
know that, because you're going to get the whole thing
Do
soon.
you know what the other game was?
No.
Spectre Ops.
Oh, yeah, that's the one where you told me about.
Where you're hiding around.
Yeah, the
And-
person doing secret moves.
Oh, Legend of the Five Rings. Beginner
yeah.
RPG. But that's for
You
Mum
told
and
me
all of
about
us.
most of them, but I didn't.
Again, to get us in the theme of our eventual trip back to Japan.
Japan. Yeah.
How's your week been? All right.
I'm good. How
That's
was
good.
yours?
Yeah, good. Busy weekend, so that
Yeah.
just normal nowadays. But our daylight savings ends tonight.
That's going to make Starfinder hard.
Yeah, we'll have to work out the time thing for that. But that's the end of summer. Well, the warm period. Summer's finished, but the end of all that. Anyway, our favourite time of year.
Yep.
Okay, so trains. Do you want to read the little bit at the front of the...
Hang on. What about the Top Trumps trains? So, a while ago we got this from Gameology. It was Trains Top Trumps.
Mm-hmm.
We decided... World's Fastest Trains for Top Trumps.
In the last...
We decided to talk about that for this episode because we're doing Trains Rising Sun, and they're both my games.
Well, you're in charge of the whole episode, so
yeah,
go for it.
So I may as well read out the little. I'll read out a little.
Would
how
know
to
if you've
play
listened
from
to
this.
Patrick loves trains.
I'll read out a little how to play because this one's like the weirdest one that you'll see. So normal Top Trumps is lowest not winning, highest won. So this one, range is an estimation of total rail network size or regular journey. Highest, newest wins for debut year and lowest for fame rank.
Okay, so I've got here the New York subway, which has a range of 1,355 kilometres, so 1,355 kilometres.
A lot of them have the one that has the longest range. Can I have those
Oh,
colours?
let me just find another one
It's
here.
a really long
Whereas
one.
Thomas the Tank,
Yeah.
his range...
It has Hogwarts Express.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
The range in kilometres...
Is 933 for Hogwarts Express.
But for Thomas the Tank is
12.
years on air 6. I don't know
It's
how
been on
they
air
got
longer.
that. The Tokyo Metro is 310 kilometres. Shinkansen, the bullet train, 2,388 kilometres. So
Yeah.
they're cool.
So
I haven't actually played this with you.
We won't talk about it anymore because we're not talking about this game this episode.
Well, even though you seem like you want to. Okay,
I
so
sort of do.
what are you going to talk about then?
Alright, so the weird thing is that I said was that the highest and newest wins for debut year and the lowest wins for fame rank. So the rest it's all highest.
Yeah, because you want the...
The fame most. So if it has a
Oldest
fame rank
train.
of 25, you're not going to win it.
Yeah, what about the oldest train? Like the debut year, you want the oldest one?
No, you want the
The
newest.
newest one. Oh,
So there's
right.
one that's actually in the future.
That's what you're
The
saying.
Japan Magavel. That's in 2027.
Magalev.
That's 2027.
Okay. Alright, if you're not talking about it, here you go, I'll give you that.
Can I have the cards?
I'll put this away.
Alright, so now we better talk about Trains Rising Sun.
Yep. Which is the same as the trains game. There is a trains, but this is the Japanese rail system.
Yeah, this
instead.
is basically old Japan.
And of course, we had to get this.
So
You saved up for it.
I'll read out the the introduction and the goal,
Okay,
and maybe I might say what's in the box so you get an idea of how it works.
just roughly.
Yeah, because in the box gives you an idea and stuff like that,
Okay.
and then we can explain some of it.
Alright, go on then.
So, the introduction. Can you build the greatest rail line in Japan?
Well, you would want to.
Yeah, I always win that game.
Yeah.
Now is your chance to find out. Trains is a deck building game where you work to build the strongest system of rails throughout Japan. Your cards not only allow you to buy other cards to tune your deck, but they will also allow you to build train stations and rails lines along the board, which are your keys to victory. Nope, not for me.
No.
I seem to have like the least trains, and I always win.
Yeah, but you get the victory points on the cards in the
You
deck
still
building.
You still don't know how I win it.
No,
Goal.
because I normally build anyway.
The goal of the game is to have the most powerful railway network. You accomplish this by collecting victory points from cards, railways, and stations. To gain victory points, you build a deck using cards from the various options that will be available to you. You'll build the deck as you play the game, with each player starting with the same smaller set of cards. Use these rail cards to build railways around Japan and ensure your deck runs as effectively as possible turn to turn. So that was the goal. In this box, there is one double-sided board, Nagoya,
I like the
Shibuya,
double-sided board.
and Kyushu.
Yep.
They're all
different-
places that I think we've been to Nagoya.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we're going there. That's where the Legoland is. Anyway, keep
Yeah,
going.
we've been there though. 80 rail tokens in 4 colours, 4 scoring tokens in 4 colours, 35 randomizer cards, 30 white station tokens, 20 route markers, 40 route bonus cards, 47 card dividers for sorting your cards into the box. So this is something that I've done with them. I've done the 47 card dividers, but also I made some more of my own.
You did.
So like for player 1, player 2, player 3 and player 4 for your starting cards, which we'll get onto later.
Did you get the idea for that from Harry Potter?
No.
Oh, right, okay. You just wanted to do that? Because one day I'll see you've made all these things.
Yeah, because it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Like, cause
Yeah,
you
it
know
does.
how it had the splitting cards in there? I thought, oh yeah, why don't they have one for player 1, player 2, player 3 and player 4?
So you can just open
then
it
I
and
just
start.
So then I just went like that, done.
Yeah, so it's because it takes a bit of time to set this
Yeah,
game
it took a while for me to make them though. 490 cards sorted into the following decks.
Yeah.
10 biofuel train, 10 charitable support, 10 commuter train. The next one is a dispatcher. Then the next 10 dispatchers, 10 distant partners, 10 distribution centres, 10 engineers, 10 experimental trains, 20 express trains, 10 extra labourers, 10 government subsidy, 10 incinerators, 10 interchange, 10 junkyard, 20 lay rails, 10 legal council, 10 limited express trains, which are my favourite, 10 limited partnerships, 10 mining trains, 10 monorail, 30 normal trains, 10 office buildings, 10 outdated trains, 10 politicians, 10 protesters, 10 reclamation depot,
Reclamation depot, is it? I don't know.
10 recycling centres, 10 regulations, 10 roundhouse, 10 stadium, 20 station expansion, 10 strategy meeting, 10 surveyor, 10 trailblazer, 10 unhappy passengers, 10 upgrade, 70 waste, 10 yardmaster.
Are we done?
Yep,
Oh,
finally.
whew, you didn't actually have to go through and...
But that gives you an idea of how it
There are
works.
one thing that it does seem weird. You're talking about trains, right? And there's all
Yeah.
those cool trains, and the pictures are really good. I really like the
I
artwork.
love the artwork.
After you've seen them in person, you go, wow, they really look like the trains.
It
Anyway,
looks like they went there, took a photo,
I'm sure they did.
pasted it down
Yeah.
for it.
But there were a couple of weird things in there. Why is there waste and recycling depots and things?
Well,
you might want
I
to
know.
explain that.
Because bullet trains take up a lot of waste when you make them.
Any trains.
Can you put the card back where it belongs?
I did. I did.
There's what was the thing?
You're
There's a
very
lot of
precious. You're very precious about this game, aren't you?
There are lots of there's lots of waste with trains. So you get waste from it, and
The trains make waste,
yeah, and a lot of other things make waste.
and
It's
waste
just-
is not good. That comes out every time it comes out, and
If you
you wanna
get,
get rid of
if
it.
you want to, you can discard it. That's what I did one of the games. I just
okay.
went through
So we'll just go to the
discarding every
start. So you
single
get there are 10 cards each, just like a normal deck builder.
bit. 5.
You play 5, and then your next 5. But as you're going, you're buying cards from the monetary
Well,
amount
some
on
of
the
them
cards.
you might not buy cards. Oi!
No, but they all have different actions.
Put it
Some
back. That's a randomizer, so it
yeah.
won't say the action.
some give you money to spend. Some give you laid tracks. Some give you different little actions. Maybe a station. Build a station, because if you can build more stations, you get end game points.
Yeah.
Whereas you go for the victory points on the cards. So just like a normal standard deck
Yeah, but
builder
I was
game.
trying to build stations and get as many cards as possible, which worked out fairly well.
But then along the way, the bad thing, instead of like in Clank, you're getting what is
Attacked
it?
by the dragon.
No, the bad thing that you get in there when you're making noise or whatever.
Yeah, getting attacked by the dragon and
Oh.
putting your stuff in.
But this one, we're taking waste, so you might
Waste,
buy a
waste
card
easy
and
to
it
get rid
says,
of though.
well, to buy this card is fine, but you also got to take a
Hey,
waste.
here's something. Clank, the clank, which
Yeah.
is called the noise,
Yeah.
isn't easy to get
Noise.
rid of.
Yeah.
But waste is really easy.
Yeah,
to get
waste
rid
is
of.
easy to get rid of. You can just, for your turn, if you turn over your 5 cards and 3 of them are waste, you might
Or
go,
even
I'm going to
if
do
one of
nothing
them-
this turn. I am just going to use my turn to chuck those 3 waste into the bin. Done.
A couple of times I
that's
think
good.
I got rid of like one waste. Like Mika got rid of one waste, and I had like 5 waste, and I wouldn't get 5 waste at a time,
I normally just wait.
and I would get rid of it.
Yeah.
No, but you were getting 5 waste.
I was
every
I was
turn.
trying to build my deck, get cool cards, and then burn the waste when I got the opportunity. So the
The
board,
incinerator burns the waste.
how does the board work? So you have your little hex tiles on
I
this.
think I need the board to
small-
see how it works.
No, you don't. Small board. It's not
No,
huge
it's
or anything,
big.
is
It's
it?
big.
Well,
On the one side it's divided in half for 2 player. The other side is for more players.
So you can build stations, and the more of these you get points. There are victory point remote locations, which get you victory points. And the rivers on the map and things like that change the way you build, or the mountains. Japan is a mountainous little area, so it costs more to build over that. Awesome. To win the game,
No, it costs more to tunnel through the mountains.
yeah, well, to tunnel through the mountains, I guess. That's a better way of putting it, Smarty Pants. Okay, so the game ends when any 4 of the card stacks in the supply are run out. Because remembering, when you start the game, you don't start the game with all those cards as an option. You pick out 8 sets, and you play the game through.
No. Some of them are actually ones that you're forced to start off
Yeah,
with.
so there's a base one.
And you pick out 8 extra cards.
Yeah.
But when we first did it, a couple of them were the same as like the waste and stuff like that to cut down how many cards you've got in there.
Yeah, that's true. Sorry. So you always use like the express train and the limited train and the waste.
You limited
But then you
express.
can choose extra ones to change the game up. So there's loads of replay
I better
opportunities in
explain
it.
how the money.
I was just going to say how the game
costing
finishes.
and
So
wasting
when
and
any
stuff
of those
like
4 games are gone, excluding the waste, any of those 4 supply stacks are gone, excluding the waste, are emptied, or any player has used all of their rail tokens, because you only have a limited amount of those, or all the station tokens have been placed on the board. But we tend to end the game buying all the cards in a stack most times when we've only played with 2 or 3 players.
So the next one is how the money works. We're going to talk about.
Oh, you want to talk about one of those?
Yeah, and the victory points. I got the perfect card, the office building, which has money and victory points, and it has waste that you get.
Oh, yeah.
So when you get a waste, when you buy this card waste, that means you get a waste. Or if it has like a special action, and then says blah blah blah, but you got to take a waste, you don't have to do that action.
Right.
So then the money, it works like this. So if I have so say don't have the office building yet, and I have 4 money from other cards.
Mm-hmm.
I'll spend 4 of this to get the office building, and then those cards, if they don't have any extra money on them, you can't use for money again, unless they have an ability on them which lets you do something else. And also, once you've bought the office building, it goes in onto the top of your discard, and you get 1 waste, which goes on top of your discard. And then, say it's your next turn, eventually, and you get the office building, you play it. So that one has a money, and it's a victory point. You don't get any victory points. You only get the money bonus.
Yeah, so it's
short
term.
So say I have, there's money. So there's something for 5, and I have enough for that. I'll get that. And then you might get a victory point on that one.
Yeah.
So you don't put it up on the victory point tracker. At the end of the game, you go through
and
count out how many victory points you got on each.
That tends to be how most of the deck builders all play.
Yeah, so that's how the victory point one works, and the money and waste technically.
So that's good. So, and just very quickly,
how it costs.
Now just
end game.
The contents. What do you think of the game? The contents?
I love the artwork on these.
You love the artwork.
Yeah, it's really good.
The cards are nice and glossy. So they're good quality.
Yeah.
You've got the little timber cubes.
They're
and
harder to
stations
scratch. It's good that it's timber, not plastic.
I hate the size of the box.
I love it.
What?
It's good.
It's
all
good. Fits in one tiny little side of it.
It's for the trains.
Yeah, but
trains.
then I'm sure the trains one would come in the same size box.
No, but you might not need the other trains box. And then, you know what we did with a box? Like, you could put extra games in that, couldn't you? In that little bit that isn't used.
Yeah,
can't you, Daddy?
You're only using half the box. So it's a big box. You use half the box. I do not understand. That's something that frustrates me. Because then how do we fit them all in our cupboard?
No, but you sort of need it that size.
Yeah, this one should be staying in your room then.
Yeah.
Having said that, I'm here in Patrick's room recording with him, and he's got his slot car racing set spread out over the whole room. I have to step in and around it. Anyway, we didn't get up the BGG stats for this.
Oh, whoops.
So if you would like to...
Yeah, I'll get that up. So you keep talking.
Oh, thanks. Am I allowed to now, am I?
Yes.
So Patrick's in charge of recording this episode. So we are, again, last time seemed to work out fine, getting him to do all the editing and the work so he can get the hang of it. Now, if I was to give this game a rating before Patrick even gets it up, we have played a few deck builders. We've got Harry Potter, we've played Clank a few times, and a couple of others.
Deck builders are pretty good games, though.
Yeah, and because we love trains and Japan, so for us, I'm probably going to give it... I have to give this one an 8, because it's something that is kind of new to us, new to me, in the sense of a deck builder. So what do you give it?
I'm not sure yet. We better read out the Trains Rising Sun stuff.
Oh, okay.
So the rank for overall is 757. Strategy is 388, which is a strange one. So it's rated at 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
It was made in 2014. It's for 2 to 4 players. Community 2 to 4. Best with 4. So it's 45 minutes playing time. Age 12 plus. Community 10 plus. So the weight is 2.43.
the 45 minutes time, I think, is fine if you
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah.
But because you got to learn the cards the first few
But
times.
do you know what's a good thing? There's a couple of it's like half an hour or something to do, like when you get the game of dividing up all
Oh,
the
yeah.
cards.
You
Like
like
that
that.
takes about half an hour or something.
Yep.
And then it depends if you want to make your player ones. Like
And what
player
did you-
one, player
so what
two,
did you give
player
it?
three, and player four. So I really, really like this one. 9.5.
That's because of the trains. You like
Yeah.
the theme. And
But
just
the one
in
thing I don't like is the box is awfully big for what it is.
Yeah, that's a negative for me. That's the main only negative.
That's
There's
the
a cool
only
picture in the book here, in the rule book, and it's got a driver. Well, I don't think he's the driver in this particular picture, but standing at the front of the train as it drives through a station. One thing you notice, remember when we were in Japan, we stood right behind the driver because you can stand right behind them. There's a little screen there, and every now and then they do a signal. They point at they have a timesheet because the trains in Japan are never late.
There's always one there every 5 minutes.
Or whatever it's meant to be.
No, it's every 5 minutes.
But as they're just driving along, you're doing 80 k's out in the middle of nowhere. As they're going along, they're pointing at their timesheet where they're meant to be, and then pointing out the window and doing like a signal thing
but also,
at nothing. And so I don't know what they're doing it
No,
at,
but
but it looks
also-
so cool.
they got to get there every 5 minutes. There's one every 5 minutes.
Yeah,
what
well,
he
it
said.
depends on each station though.
Well, the good thing is
that's so
that
cool.
you can see them, and then you can see what they do when you can't see what
Because
they're
they've got gloves
doing.
on. They're like the culture of Japan is
I
very
was
polite
watching
and
the
very.
speed gate and stuff like.
Yeah,
If you watch
yeah.
the speed, they're going pretty fast.
Yeah, you don't feel like you're going 80 on this tiny little train, and but then on the Shinkansen when you're going 200 k's on the one
300
we were
sometimes.
on, yeah. Anyway, all those little.
If you're in the
things
middle
that
of
they do.
nowhere going for a long time before a station, you'll be going 300 kilometers an hour.
Anyway, we have digressed a lot. Anything else to add on the topic of the Trains Rising Sun board game apart from its fun?
No. Okay, so now we're going to talk about Pandemic Iberia. It's a game for how many
2 to
games?
5,
2 to 5.
ages 8 and up.
It's community 1 to 5, best with 4. I can see why it's 1 to 5. It's like what you could do with Pandemic.
Yeah, or
1 to 5.
or with Forbidden Desert,
Trains Rising
Forbidden
Sun.
Island, because
Trains
the
Rising Sun.
same guy. No, get over Trains Rising Sun. You even picked the train bit of music to cut out of it. Sounds like a train. No, this game is made by Matt Leacock, designed by, who did Forbidden Desert, Island.
It's 45 minutes playing
Sky, I
time.
presume.
8 plus, community 10 plus.
Mm.
Weight 2.63.
Okay, so one of those style of games. Let's just see what it says here on the book. Now, we hadn't played the original Pandemic, but only on the app.
I have the app.
But I didn't want to just buy the plain one because if we ever get the Legacy,
Do
that'll
you
take
have the app
over.
on your phone?
Yeah.
You can play it on my tablet if you need a bigger screen.
So it says here, Pandemic Iberia. It's the mid-19th century, and as members of the Second Royal Philanthropic Expedition, you are embarking on your mission to discover the origins of diseases that are devastating the countryside of the Iberian Peninsula. Will you succeed in your mission? Can you research all 4 diseases in time to save humanity?
Yeah.
And as an overview, just says it's a co-op game, which, like his other ones, the goal is to get to all the 4 diseases researched, but you lose if you have 8 outbreaks. Not enough disease cubes are left when you need them, if you haven't got enough blues and they've got to go out, or not enough player cards are left when you're needing to draw at the end of your turn. Each character has a specific role to play, and the quick list of characters are the like sailors and doctors and railmen and nurse and blah blah blah. So very quickly, it's a pretty game. This one is
the
really
good thing
pretty.
is that it has trains,
Yeah, I know.
which
So, of
which
course,
make which lets you move further,
yes,
and it has
but you can't
purification
fly.
to help stop diseases spreading. Hey, and it also has ports. So if you're at a port,
Oh yeah.
you can move to another port as long as you discard the port that you're going to. It's a card.
Yeah, that's right. So the theme is great. Whereas in the other normal pandemic, you fly around or you can move around if you discard things. In this one,
Well,
you're
because that's more like a
boating
modern.
around.
But that one's more like a modern one, the normal pandemic.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one's trains and boats.
So it's very it's themed very well.
And purifying water because they might not have clean water.
Yeah, the last game I played of this, we used the purification tokens. One of the players was able to put 3 of them out. And it worked really well.
You know the one that lets you like that. So if you're on one square, and all the squares around it can't have the ones put on it. You know that one?
Yeah.
There's one like that, except I think with the one in this one, you can choose one square away to put the token on.
Yeah, you put a little token and it protects
That
everything
square?
connected to it or
yeah.
that square, yeah. Now this one that we've got is a limited edition deluxe, I think. Was it? What was it? What does it say here? It was just what was on sale. Limited collector's edition. Anyway, so I don't know what the difference is, but we get a little art book.
Yeah, I love the art book.
doing the art.
Again.
And so that's cool. And
It's got some really good
the tokens are great. The
drawings
little
and stuff in it.
research markers are little magnifying glass, microscopic. What are they? Microscopes, I suppose they are.
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Yeah, look, here's something.
Cardboard rail tokens. So.
In pandemic Iberia, it looks like stuff that would happen, like in real life, if they were doing it.
At that time, yeah, the theme is good, very colourful. So basically, you get some events, you shuffle them into the deck, and the events range from because they're different to the base game of Pandemic. Events in this one might be you get to lay 2 new railroad tokens.
Yeah, which is a good event.
That's a good one. Or when the plans were good, take 1 event card from the player discard pile and play it immediately. So there's a few. There is the 1 more day one. There's travel night and day. Move a pawn anywhere on the thing. But the drawings are like old little drawings. I really like the cards and the pictures on this one. Anyway,
I like looking at the art book. When we got it, I was like, why is this in here, an art book? Now we know why. It's the limited collector's edition.
So basically, you're trying to collect all your cubes. You need to build a hospital. And the little thing that happens here is the diseased cubes. Once you've got a hospital built, the disease cubes move towards the hospital. 1 disease cube of each colour moves towards
when
the hospital
outbreaks
at the
happen.
end. At the end of the.
For what? An event?
Yeah. No, just at the end of the turn.
No, that doesn't happen.
No, that's in the influx of patients challenge. So it's like the disease cubes or also the patients moving their way to the hospital. So what happens is the hospital ends up overflowing, and then there's an outbreak.
So did you choose one of those blue, red, yellow, or black cards?
No, that's the historical diseases challenge. So there's like a few different ways to modify this game from the base game. And I guess we're sort of presuming everyone knows how to play this game, where it's basically
Pandemic.
you pick a card, you put out 3 cubes on a place, and then from there more cards get drawn, shuffled, and then they all just get circulated on the top of the deck when they have to get reshuffled back in, because you pull 1 from the bottom of the deck and then that goes on top without getting into it all. Anyway, so the influx of patients just changes it because you have people running to the hospital. The historical diseases challenge, as a part of this, if you have a look here in the book, what does it say? In this challenge, you must fight as an experienced team against even more powerful diseases, and each disease will now appear with a different terrible behaviour. City life was not so easy in the 19th century. Although many diseases devastated the world during the 19th century, only 4 are going to be in the game. At the time, humanity began to learn how the diseases originated, how to fight them, and how to prevent them. And although these diseases have now been eliminated from much of the developed world, millions of people continue to suffer from them. And so, the cards that they have here is malaria, cholera, yellow fever, and typhus. So they're all
Do those
different
diseases still harm people?
They do in countries where they don't have the water quality and the health
I didn't
and
know
the
there was
ability to get
even
healthcare.
a disease existed called yellow fever ever.
Yes, and to play this, again, there's a different setup. You shuffle disease card and randomly select 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them to play with. The more you select, the harder it will be. Then you place the cards you've randomly selected to the side of the board and the others to the back. And it's got some historical information at the back of this book. So let's just pick one here. Okay, telegraph message is one of the event cards. But for the information about it, it says the first telegraph message in Spain from Madrid to Iran was a speech Queen Isabel II gave to inaugurate a new Congress period on November the 8th, 1854. The public service of telegrams started on February the 25th, 1855. And in 1855, a submarine line connected Lisboa to the Azores Islands. Portuguese public service of telegram started in 1857. So that all of these, what's that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 12, 15 different cards all have a thing about them. And then, for instance, you were talking about yellow fever.
Yeah.
So the yellow fever, the virus was propagated by the mosquito and often affected sea or river port cities. Outbreaks were located in the Mediterranean and southern cities and were particularly serious at the beginning of the 19th century. And just, let's say cholera, the other one. The bacteria arrived to Porto in the northwest in 1832. Later it arrived through the port of Virgo, first in 1833 and later in 53. In successive epidemics, around 20% of the population was infected, with a total of more than 650,000 people dying.
That's bad.
It's a lot of people. That's
probably
half
the
the
worst.
population of our city.
That's probably the worst amount. That's probably the worst one out of all of them.
Sad thing is these diseases are still out there and still trying to cure them. So we've said when the game ends, hopefully with you winning.
A win?
But these games are planned. They've done such a great job designing them. It normally comes down to the last turn or two as to whether you actually succeed or lose. A bit like Forbidden Desert that we've played that we haven't actually talked about. So there you go. Now, do you want to have a rating for this? Now, I know it's not going to be 9 or 10 for you.
What about yours?
I enjoy it. I probably should try and play it as a solo game one time.
It's rated at 8 on here.
Yeah, I enjoy it, but because all of these games seem very similar, whether it be Pandemic Iberia or Pandemic Forbidden Island, Forbidden Desert, you're all fighting against a clock and it's going to backfire on you. So I'm gonna
Aren't there 4 different Pandemic, like Pandemic Iberia, Pandemic something?
Cthulhu, all sorts. Yeah.
Really?
I'm gonna go 7.5.
I'm gonna go 8.
Okay, so bit of fun. It's hard to explain. We probably haven't overly explained that very well, but we've given you some other background, I guess.
About the actual disease.
If it sounds like a game you're interested in, I like the look of this more than the basic Pandemic. I like older things, so.
I like the how it gives you information on the diseases.
Yeah.
And it's got better. I reckon this would have better artwork than normal Pandemic.
And you like the character that gets to move, that gets to protect a larger area, don't you?
Yeah.
Seems to be what you like. Okay, well, hopefully we don't have to fight any of those diseases. So, I sort of feel like you've burnt out. I think you used all of your good energy on trains and you might have just gone, and you're focusing on doing the thing. Maybe next week I need to go back to doing that so you can focus on what you're talking about. What do you reckon? And so you don't burn out talking about trains. Now what's we've got to play Starfinder last week. We got to board the ship, if anyone's following along, and try and find the what do we need to find? We needed to access the computer.
And I was very useful.
Yes, you use your Doshka to.
I ran up at one of them, killed it, and then I ran across on my next year, killed it.
Yeah, and then what did you do?
And then I smashed it into Geary Snickles' head.
So you hit the
head off,
the skeleton's head off
and
knocked it into your teammate.
And then it went flying down the hall into a
That was
hole.
funny. And then your teammate chucked it at you later. That was funny.
He killed it, and then he grabbed the head quickly and threw it at me.
And how are you finding that still? Now we're 3 games in. That was a much quicker session. It was only like an hour and a half, because we're getting the hang of it.
And we didn't mess up with Discord.
No, Discord works. So, do you enjoy that?
Yeah.
You enjoy playing it?
Yep.
Yeah. Wonder what happens next to the base station, don't we?
Yeah. And I ate all the food.
Oh yeah, you ate all the food.
That was funny. Like, I can't eat any of this. And then I'm like, yum. And then I go, I'll take it all.
That's because I'm the android, so I was like, oh, no point in me eating.
And then I think Giddy Snickle grabbed one can of drink. And I'm like,
You really like that, don't you?
Yeah.
And so that's good fun. And the other thing is, just before we started doing this, I bought tickets to. There's a little con going on in our town. We've never been to anything like this before. It only takes 200 people, and it's our only thing that's within 6 hours. Within a 10-hour drive of here.
Is it 10 hours to get there?
No, it's the nearest one would be 10-hour drive away.
But we can still go to Cooperpedia in under 10 hours.
Well, they certainly don't have any conventions at Cooperpedia.
We were there
underground.
when the circus was on.
Yeah, I know. That would be like the dungeons from Dungeons and Dragons. If you don't know Cooperpedia, you need to look that up.
Yeah, it's all underground.
It feels like you're in the middle of nowhere. So we get to go to a con. So they're going to have some role-playing games there. So maybe we can go into a session of that. Your ticket gets you into the whole weekend. And so because there's only 200 people, I think we're going to get to play some cool games and hopefully get to play in a role-playing game. So
So each day we come back and play an hour or so of it?
Yeah, you can stay there for 1 hour for the whole weekend, or you can stay there for the whole weekend.
Yeah, I'll stay there the whole time.
$20. That's worth doing, isn't it? I didn't get one for Mum. Anyway, so that's exciting.
She's got to look after Mika anyway.
Yeah. The only thing is we have to wait till September, so we've got like 6 months away.
After the Adelaide show?
Yep. Now, anything else we need to talk about?
No.
No? Okay then. Well, do you want to do your bit at the end?
Hosting for this episode is provided by Gameology, Australia's largest gaming warehouse.
Thanks.
Email us in at boardgamebasicspodcast@outlook.com
Yeah,
and our
that's fine.
Twitter
Yeah.
at BGB
No, our board game basic one will do.
at Board Game Basic One. I forgot it was BGB.
I haven't even been
at
putting
the
anything
start.
up there, but the links do go, or our podcast does go up on there. so.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
Yep. So that's bye from me.
And bye from me. Not necessarily the best explaining of the games, but anyway, doesn't matter. You know, I've come home from work just for a couple of hours, so you could quickly do this, and then I've got to head back to work. So, oh, what, are you kicking me out already?
No.
For a weekend? That's hardly fair.
No.
I just had
It's
to do
not
some
good that
extra.
you got to go back.
And we played the Pathfinder adventure game on the app.
Oh yeah, I haven't
We
played
forgot
that
to say
yet.
about that, and that looks like fun, and Mika's really wanting to play it, but it's so expensive, so
Does it
we
cost
might-
money?
yeah, so we'll have to see a way of getting that. Okay, have you got any jokes for us?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, you want to let me have it, or what?
What did the left eye say to the right eye?
No idea.
Between us, something smells.
Right,
Why did
yeah.
the student eat his homework? Because the teacher told him it was a piece of cake.
Okay, well, that
When
is-
you look for something, why is it always the last place you look?
I don't know.
Because when you find it, you stop looking.
Oh.